You know that story about the healing at the Pool of Bethesda? We all think we know it. But what if the miracle isn't even the main event? What if the real story is a hidden showdown, and the clues are literally built into the walls of the place?
So let's set the scene. You've got this man, right? And he's been paralyzed for 38 years. I mean, can you even imagine? He's the picture of hopelessness, just waiting, day in, day out. It's the scene of quiet desperation that we're all so familiar with.
But here's the twist. What if that incredible healing, what if it's just the opening act, the setup for a much, much bigger drama? We're talking about a head-on collision over power, identity, and who God really is.
Yeah, this story goes so much deeper than just a miracle. We're going to peel back the layers here, and I promise you it's not what you think. And the very first clue, it's been hiding in plain sight the whole time. It's all about the location.
Okay, so picture this. We're in Jerusalem, and it's during a huge religious festival. The city is just electric, buzzing with all this theological energy. And this pool, it's right next to the sheep gate, where the lambs for sacrifice were brought in. So the air is just thick with anticipation. And in the middle of all of this, you have a crowd of people, all of them just desperate for a miracle.
But it's the architecture that really gives the game away. It tells a completely different story. Our first big clue to what's really going on is hidden right there in the building itself.
The text makes a point to mention there are 5 colonnades, 5 covered walkways. Now that sounds like some random detail, right? Wrong. It's a massive piece of evidence. That number 5 is the key that unlocks this whole thing.
So why is 5 so important? Well, it all comes down to this one word, Asclepion. Think of it as a healing sanctuary from the Greco-Roman world, dedicated to Asclepius, their god of medicine. These places were all over the Roman Empire, and they had a very, very specific design.
Okay, so what did these places look like? They had colonnaded porches to shelter the sick, a water source for rituals, and this whole system built around waiting for the divine to show up. Sound familiar? It should. The Pool of Bethesda, with its 2 pools and 5 colonnades, is a perfect match for the layout of a rival healing sanctuary.
And this is the absolute kicker. Jesus didn't just wander up to some public swimming pool. No. He deliberately walked into a rival religious site, a place with its own rules, its own rituals, even its own god. He was stepping onto contested ground. And that, right there, sets the stage for a major clash of power. What we're about to see is a direct showdown between 2 totally different systems of healing, 2 totally different ways of seeing the world.
So on one hand, you've got the pool system. It's all about ritual, about mechanics. It's a competition. You got to be the first one in the water to get healed. Power's scarce, it's indirect. But then you have Jesus' system, and it couldn't be more different. It's all about a direct command. It's about his personal authority. The power isn't somewhere out there. It's right there, inside him.
And you can just hear it in the paralyzed man's voice, can't you? He's completely trapped in the pool's way of thinking. His whole hope is wrapped up in the system. He doesn't say, I need a healer. He says, I need someone to help me play the game better, to get me in the water at the right time. His whole worldview is defined by the logic of that place.
And Jesus' response? It's just stunning. He completely ignores the rules of the game. He doesn't say, oh, let me help you in next time. Nope. He just bypasses the entire system, makes it totally irrelevant with one simple, powerful command. In an instant, the shrine's whole reason for being is just gone. But hold on, the story is far from over. The healing, that was just the warm-up act. Now the conflict shifts from the physical to the theological, and trust me, things escalate fast.
So the religious leaders show up. And get this, they're not mad that a man who was paralyzed for 38 years can now walk. No, they're mad because Jesus told him to pick up his mat. See, in their book, carrying a mat on the Sabbath counted as work. That's the official charge. But Jesus doesn't get bogged down in a debate about rules. He just blows the whole thing wide open with this absolutely radical statement. He looks at them and says, My Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working.
Whoa, let's unpack that, because the implication is mind-blowing. Think about it. God's work of just holding the universe together, that never stops, right? Not even for the Sabbath. So Jesus is saying his work, his healing, is part of that same divine non-stop action. He's not just asking for an exception to the rule. He's claiming to have the same right to work as God himself.
And believe me, the authorities got it. They knew exactly what he was saying. He was making himself equal to God.
And this is the real climax of the story. We've moved way beyond healing a paralyzed man. We're now in the middle of a full-blown revelation of identity. That accusation that he was making himself equal to God becomes the very thing he leans into, opening the door for even bigger claims.
First up, he claims perfect alignment. He says, whatever the Father does, the Son does likewise. This isn't just him being a good assistant. It's identical action. His power isn't a cheap copy. It's a perfect mirror of the Father's.
And then he just cranks it up a notch. He says that just as the Father can raise the dead and give life, the Son also gives life to whomever he wants. He's claiming the ultimate authority, the personal sovereign power over life and death itself. You know, the very thing that shrine he was standing in could only pretend to offer through luck and ritual.
And here it is, the bottom line, the whole point of this entire encounter. He says this is all happening, that all may honor the Son just as they honor the Father. It was always about honor. Not just some honor or less honor, but equal honor. That's the final mic drop. The demand is crystal clear.
Okay, so let's just trace the steps here for a second. It all starts in a contested space, basically a rival church. Jesus completely ignores its rules and heals with a word. That sparks a fight about the Sabbath, which he uses to claim he's equal with God. And the endgame? It's all about revealing his true identity and redirecting honor to himself. It's a brilliant, step-by-step unmasking.
So, all this leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? That man's hope was completely defined by the place he was in, by its rules, its rituals. It kind of makes you think, what are the sacred spaces in our own lives? What are the systems we buy into that shape our hopes and tell us how to find help? And when it comes down to it, what or who truly gets our honor?